Hi, thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Between Bells, Camden Catholic's podcast that explores the people that make up our school community and what they're truly like between one day's dismissal bell and the next day's homeroom bell. I'm your host, Trish, and welcome to today's episode. Today we'll be joined by Mr. Hoover. Mr. Hoover teaches AP U.S. History along with other courses in U.S. History and a course on 20th century global history. He's the moderator of the Ethics Bowl team, and in the past, he's helped with the debate team and the musical, and has hosted a sporadic Zoom-based cooking club. As you can see, or hear, Mr. Hoover is involved with a wide variety of activities at Camden Catholic. But what about Between Bells? Okay, Mr. Hoover, we are now starting. Would you please give us your full name, first and last, your classroom number, and how long you've been here at CCHS?
Sure. My name is Matthew Hoover, currently teaching out of room 211, although in my 8 years here, see how I answered that, I've been in 3 different rooms. For a while, I was in 226 when I first started. Mr. Duffy is there now. And then I was down in 113 for several years. But now I'm up in 211.
That's I thought you were just mostly in 113 before you moved up here. You were in 226?
Yeah, at this point, that was a long time ago. I think the current seniors were freshmen when I first moved to room 113.
You were a junior hall moderator?
For a short period of time,
Wow.
I was a junior hall person.
That sounds so weird. Now it's just like, oh, freshman or senior, Mr. Hoover. I didn't know there was an era where you were a junior teacher.
We're going into some deep history there.
Deep history. Okay, we also have a week's wild card every episode. So today's week's wild card is, what's your favorite movie?
Probably the movie that I enjoy watching the most is called Inglourious Basterds.
Wow.
It's very intense, so I've only watched it probably 2 or 3 times ever. Sometimes when I watch it in certain scenes, I need to pause because my anxiety levels are too high.
Even if you've already watched it?
Yeah, even if I've already watched it. But I mean, I think that's a great movie. Tarantino, who is the director, is not for everybody. And I understand why people dislike him. And there are certain movies of his that I think work better than others, but I think he really knocked it out of the park on that one in particular.
Is he the one that directed Shape of Water? Is that him or is that another guy?
No, that is Del Toro.
Oh,
That's that guy's name.
Almost got it. Mm-hmm. What's a little synopsis of the movie? What's it about? Like, is it action? Is that why it makes you a bit anxious?
There's definitely action elements to it. It's sort of like an alternative history movie in which there is a secret group of basically American special op people that are sent in to kill Hitler in World War II. And I won't spoil anything.
Of course, no
but
spoilers.
It's definitely not a historically accurate film. It takes many, many historical liberties, but that's okay. It's just a movie.
It's just a movie.
Right.
It's for the artistry of it. Okay, so first topic I have on my list is you have new glasses this year.
I do. Yes, I got them right around New Year's. Shortly, I'm sure that I got them over the Christmas break.
New year, new you.
That's right.
Was it hard picking out the frame? I always have trouble when I'm picking out my frames.
It was actually pretty easy for me because I knew it's very easy for me to identify when I don't like something and sort of then get it down to 2 or 3 things. And then from there, probably any of the decisions would be fine. But I had a sense of what I was looking for, I guess, and this was the in my opinion, the best option that was available to me. So that's why I went with them.
They're looking good, I will say. They're looking good.
Thanks so much.
How'd you realize you needed glasses?
Honestly, I did not realize that I needed glasses until over the last probably year or two. A couple people that I'm with frequently, like just in my outside of school life, have pointed out all of the times that I'm unable to read something from across the room. You know, for a long time, I think my vision sort of slowly deteriorated. And it got to the point where, if something happens slowly, it creeps up on you and you get used to it. But it was helpful having others point out when I should probably be able to read something and I couldn't. After a couple months of sort of having people point this stuff out to me, I decided, all right, it's probably time to schedule an eye doctor visit.
Short between bells break. Fun fact, did you know that according to the American Academy of Ophthalmology, over 150 million people in the United States use corrective eyewear? So if you're like Mr. Hoover and realize you might be needing glasses, just know you're not alone. Now back to the show. I remember when I first got glasses, it was 4th grade, and then I was like, Miss, I can't see the board. So she's like, do you want to move your desk in the middle of the aisle? That's so embarrassing, by the way. Like just being the only person in the middle of the aisle. And so then I moved it up a bit, and she's like, can you see it? It was in history class, by the way. It was in history class. And I was like, no, I can't. And I kept moving up, and surely, but slowly, I was at the, front of the classroom. So I think it's good that you had that support system to, really let you know that there might be something there. I had to figure it out by myself.
Shame, though, and embarrassment can be powerful tools for motivating us to do things like get glasses, apparently. And things
Going
like
to the eye doctor.
So do you wear contacts now?
I do wear contacts now. It was because of the pandemic. I started in freshman year. No, I first got glasses in elementary school. I had them all the way through middle school too. And then I didn't ever want to get contacts because I was one of those people who was like, no, I'm definitely going to poke my eye out or something. But I got to freshman year, and then we had to wear masks in school the whole day, and my glasses kept fogging up. So I'm like, I got to do something about this. So I chose contacts, and I just wear them nowadays.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that have had similar experiences with glasses fog, and there are sprays and stuff like that that people sell, but it seems like that they vary pretty wildly in their effectiveness and quality.
All right, so next topic I have on here is maps. I'm looking at your map right now across the room. I remember when I was in your class, you went on multiple tangents about how much you love maps. One of my questions for you is, what's your favorite type of map? I feel like I also asked you this in your class and you couldn't answer it.
Well, firstly, you're right. Huge map guy here. Love maps. Always have, ever since I was a little kid, and continue to. Favorite type of map is hard to pick. I really like this U.S. map that I have in the front that divides the country up into the different rounds of land acquisition. Mm-hmm. I think that's an interesting sort of way of thinking about the country. I guess generally I'm into maps that sort of make you think about things differently. A lot of basic maps just sort of have the states or have some basic geography formations or whatever. But if you can sort of illustrate other types of information on maps, I think that's interesting. I guess off the top of my head, if I had to pick one type of map that I like the most, it's something called an elevated relief map. The really fancy ones are 3-dimensional things. Oh, wait. A good one would be something like the state of Colorado or something like that. And it's a big flat, well, not flat, but it's something that you would have to look at if it's sitting on a table and it has the relative heights of all the different mountains and formations and stuff like that.
That's something you would see at the Franklin Institute or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a 3D map?
Right.
That's cool. Do you have one?
When I was a kid, I had some. I don't know what ended up happening to them. So the short answer to that question is no. But if any of the listeners know where I could acquire some 3D elevation relief maps, that would be great. I would love to know.
Let them know.
Email Trish.
I'll forward it to Mr. Hoover. That actually ties into another question I had. Can you estimate maybe how many maps you're in ownership of? I'm very curious.
Well, it depends on how we count. If I have an atlas, do each one of those maps count as a map?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say, let's say map-related products. Maybe that'll dial it down a bit.
Would an atlas then count as one map-related product?
Yes.
It's probably it's a double-digit number for sure.
Okay. Fair enough.
It doesn't go into the hundreds. But it's more than 10. Or more than 9, I guess, to be strict. But if I had to guess, I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 25, maybe a little more than that.
Short between bells break. Did you know that there's an actual word to describe someone who likes maps as much as Mr. Hoover does? And that word is a cartophile, which of course means someone who loves maps. You may also know that someone who makes maps is called a cartographer. The root word common in both of these words, which is cart or carta, actually means paper in Latin. I don't even take Latin, I take French. Anyway, now back to the show. Is that counting like in your classroom and at home, or like one or the other?
Yeah, counting in the classroom and at home. Now, because I have a classroom, like most of them are just here, and not like taking up space in my apartment. So that's the current situation.
Yeah, speaking of your apartment, it reminded me of how you live in Philly, right?
I do.
You live over the bridge, and that reminded me about your historical buildings of Philly account.
That's right.
How's it going? But first, let the listeners know if they are not already aware of this gem of the internet, I would say.
Sure. Yes. If anyone is interested in very sporadic Instagram posts about architecture and history in Philadelphia, they should check out at Buildings of Philly, all one word, no underscores or anything like that, just Buildings of Philly. As far as how it's been going, as I've said, it's gotten very sporadic. At different points in its life cycle, I've been very into it, and then at different points, I've been much more lax and less anxious to like go around and take pictures and research stuff and things like that. So right now, I would say I'm definitely in a long phase of laxness, but the account's still around. I update it from time to time. Probably at some point in the future, I'll be more into creating posts and stuff like that again. But I do love doing that because it gets me walking around, and I do like architecture. I think there's a lot of cool buildings and layers of history and stuff like that to uncover in Philadelphia. So that's been a fun little project, and it has attracted a decent amount of attention, more than I thought that it would.
I, for one, am following it. I am a follower on there.
Love that. We appreciate that. So I'm pleased that students follow that, and a lot of people that I don't know follow it too. Whenever I look at it, I'm surprised that it still gets followers, even though I haven't posted probably in 2 or 3 months. So
everyone has their own niche.
Sure.
How did you come up with the idea? What gave you the idea to make the account?
There are some other historical architecture accounts on Instagram that I was aware of. And there are some people that walk around and take pictures of buildings in Philly, besides me, who have large followings and things like that. But there wasn't the exact type of thing that I was doing, like a Philadelphia specific thing that did a decent amount, not a ton, but a decent amount of research about the building's histories and things like that, and sort of creating posts from that info.
Short between bells break. Philadelphia, according to DiscoverPHL.com, is the first World Heritage City in the U.S. It has 67 National Historical Landmarks and is deemed the most historic square mile. Now, currently, Mr. Hoover's Buildings of Philly account only has 38 posts, so there's a great deal more that he can still cover. Here at Between Bells, we hope that at Buildings of Philly on Instagram has a long and prosperous life. Now back to the show. All right, so I also wanted to talk to you about, in your introduction you sent me, and I read out to the listeners, you have done a, quote-unquote, sporadic Zoom-based cooking club. Would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about that? Because I went to one of them last year. I did.
Sure. I guess it's a running theme that everything that I do is sporadic now, too, it seems. Self-described in both of these cases, so I have no one to blame but myself. Yeah, last year when we did that, we made it was like a basic make-along tomato sauce for your pasta recipe. I lifted that from Marcella Hazan's cookbook, which is like a classic sort of Italian home cooking cookbook, very old, very grandma-ish, tried and true, that type of thing. And it lasted about an hour, and we all got on Zoom. I think how it worked last time was I put QR codes around, and that linked to a list of ingredients that weren't very plentiful that you had to get. and then everyone logs on and we sort of make it together. So that's fun when that happens. I sort of did that with the hopes that there would be some interested student that would then kind of take the lead over, because I don't feel like being the person that organizes this every time it happens. But that didn't end up happening, which is fine. Maybe if there's interest, we can do another one at some point this spring.
I was going to ask if another one is in the making. I think I personally loved it a lot. I made the sauce, and then also it was a push. Wasn't it like you were going to give extra credit if you proved that you did it? And I took a selfie and emailed it to you.
Yeah, I think something like that sounds like that it was the case. I don't remember the exact rules, but I'm sure that you're right.
Yeah.
So can I flip this and ask you something about food?
Sure. Yeah.
A recipe that I was thinking might be good for this because of its simplicity, but like the delicious product that it yields, is something called chicken adobo. Are you,
Whoa.
like, I know that you are someone that has spent a lot of time in the Philippines.
Yes.
Like, are you familiar with this, and
Of
what are your
course I
thoughts
am.
on chicken adobo?
It's like a staple food. It's like one of those things. I mean, like me personally, I am Filipino, full Filipino, love it. And like I grew up eating that. It's a very staple food in like our food culture, at least. And the thing I like about it is that there's like a bunch of different variations, but also it's like if you take one mother's recipe and another mother's recipe, or like whoever's recipe, like they'll taste a little bit different, but like they have their own uniqueness to them. I think it'd be a great idea if you shared that. I've cooked it with my mom. There are like a lot of ingredients that I guess are more like, of course, if you're gonna do like the Filipino one, I know there's also a Spanish one too, but I think the ingredients are very culturally like rooted, but like the process isn't that hard, and it does taste good in the end.
Yeah, and there are also easy, like readily available substitutes for a lot of the more traditional ingredients, I think, that you could get at any grocery store here. And it'll turn, like, obviously, to your point, like everyone will taste different depending on what specifically you use, but you get a similar product. And something that I really like about chicken adobo is that it holds up really well in the fridge. Like in some ways it's better the next day. So I like to cook things in big batches sometimes and sort of eat it throughout the week.
Oh, smart.
So that's like a great candidate for that type of thing.
Short between bells break. If you can't stand the wait for another one of Mr. Hoover's Zoom cooking classes, you could actually check out his YouTube. On his YouTube, Mr. Hoover covers a variety of dishes, one of which is the chicken adobo recipe we were just discussing, while at the same time he reviews for one of the classes he teaches, AP US History. If you want to check it out, the link to this YouTube account can actually be found in the bio of the Ad Buildings of Philly account on Instagram. Now back to the show. So, to close out the topic of cooking, on Between Bells, we like to do segments sometimes.
Okay.
So, today's segment for you, I've named it Hoob's Kitchen. It's like Hell's Kitchen. I tried to...
Okay.
You get it? Yeah.
Sure. I appreciate the effort.
A for effort. Basically, can you answer these questions related to cooking? There's only 5. I would say they kind of go in like a bit easier, and I think the last one's kind of hard if I'm... Not to pat myself on the back, but I think the last question I give it might be a bit hard. But we'll start with one. What part, and don't look at my computer. Don't look at the answers, okay?
I can't even see your computer.
Great, perfect. Yeah. What part of a cow does a sirloin steak come from?
Oh, God. I'm not good at cuts of beef. A sirloin is I think, I could be completely wrong and sort of trying to work this out. Like, I think a sirloin is going to be like one of the like less fatty cuts, which would lead me to think that it's like a muscle that probably doesn't have a ton to do. So I'm gonna say, is it like shoulder area?
You're close.
Okay.
You're close. It's like the top of the cow's back.
Okay, yeah.
Let's move on to question 2.
Okay.
I'll give you like a half point for that.
Thanks.
You're pretty close. So number 2 is, what is the most common temperature, you can either answer in Fahrenheit or Celsius, to bake cookies at?
Oh, God, I'm not a big baker. See, this segment is making me look stupid, like I'm a fraud. No one's going to come to my cooking thing.
No. It's my fault. I'm the one who made the questions. It's okay.
Baking cookies, probably like it depends a little bit on what type of cookie that you're making.
It's true.
Somewhat like it's not going to be super high. I'll say like 350.
On the dot.
Okay,
On the
cool.
dot. Full point for you, Mr. Hoover.
Love that.
All right, we're on to question 3. What is the difference between a coq monsieur and a coq madame?
Okay, so these are two. I know this. These are two like French sandwiches.
Yes.
They're both, I believe, like ham and cheese at the core. They are like fried. They're both fried. One of them, like the difference is going to be one of them has like an egg on it.
That's
and the other
it.
One doesn't.
Yeah, that's it.
But I'm not sure. Like I think the croque madame has the egg.
Yep, you're
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
Another full point for
Wow.
Mr. Hoover. Okay, you're 2.5 for 5.
All right, we'll take it.
Now for number 4, what is hollandaise sauce made out of?
Hollandaise sauce is sort of just like a hot version of mayonnaise. So I think the main ingredients are like olive oil and eggs.
Yeah.
Is there something else?
Sometimes there's lemon juice. Like
Okay.
my official answer key says it's egg yolks, melted butter, but I guess you could also use oil because it's a fat.
Yeah.
And lemon juice.
Okay. All right. Fine.
I like how you describe that. It's a hot mayonnaise.
Yeah, like it's mayo when you want like to put a mayonnaise like thing on a hot food.
Okay, so now here's the big one. Number 5. Guess the dish from the ingredients alone. Okay, I'm going to
Okay.
list them. So we have zucchini,
Okay.
bell peppers, various herbs, tomatoes, onions, olive oil, garlic, and eggplant.
Okay. So obviously this is like a vegetable heavy thing. Like, is it ratatouille?
Oh my gosh, you got it!
Okay.
That's 4.5 out of 5.
All right, we'll take it.
If we're grading it AP style, you got like a 4 out
Yeah.
of 5. That's good.
I can probably get some college credit for that.
You could probably get college credit for that. All right, let's see. I know you did theater at CCHS back
right.
in the day. So you were in the 100-Year Review last year, I remember.
I was. I
had
played
to mic you up,
a
yeah.
very small role, but I was in it. Yeah.
You did very well.
Thanks so much.
Like, what year did you graduate exactly?
I graduated from Camden Catholic in 2011.
In the 2010s.
That's right.
2010s, not too far. That's what? To you?
What, 12 years ago now? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite performance to do? That's one of my questions for you. Like, how many plays were you in?
Gotcha. So I was in 4 plays.
All 4 years?
Yeah, all 4. Freshman year we did
Wow.
Oliver. That show is like very dark and sad.
Oh.
Which isn't really always my vibe, so it probably wouldn't be that. The sophomore year, I was in The Music Man. I did the barbershop quartet. That was fun being part of
That's the one you
that.
did in the review, too, right?
Yeah. And then junior year was Grease,
Whoa.
which has great music. That was probably the most fun, just as far as it was just high energy. There was a lot of talent. Like I had a song.
Who'd you play?
I sang the song Beauty School Dropout in Grease.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was like the most consistently fun, high energy show. And then senior year was also a lot of fun. We did a show called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which is like I would say not a super well known amongst the general public, but theater people tend to know what it is.
I have heard about that.
Yeah. And it's more of like a comedy. Like there's music in it. It's actually
Yeah.
a Sondheim musical. But that show was fun too because me and several of the other people in it like all enjoyed playing in a comedy, and it was a lot of fun.
Isn't it like set in Rome or something?
Yeah, it's
Did
set
you wear
in
like
Rome.
togas?
Yeah, we wore togas.
That's crazy.
At one point, I had to like one of the like gags that was happening was like mistaken identity stuff like throughout the play. So like at one point there was like this scenario in which another character like made my character like wear like a dress and like I had to pretend to be like this dead woman.
Oh my
So like yes, there were like a lot of outfits and different things going on
A lot
and
of
stuff
quick
like
changes
that.
going
Yeah.
on. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, final thing. I'm doing this as part of my Inspire internship for Mr. Bruckner. Mr. Bruckner also does CCTV. I believe he's mentioned you also did CCTV.
Sure,
With
yeah.
Mr. Gardner, was it?
Yes, Mr. Gardner, our senior year was the like primary anchor person.
Was he? That
And
makes
then
sense.
He kicked it to me for the weather, and I did the weather.
You did the weather?
Yeah, basically every day.
Dream team. That's what that sounds like, dream team.
Well, it's sort of strange that we did that, and we now have both ended up back here working for the last probably 7 or 8 years. So it is strange that that's sort of how it worked out, but I'm happy to sort of have that association with Greg Gardner, stand-up guy.
Very stand-up guy.
Part of the now famous Gardner family.
That's true.
So I'm just happy to be along for the ride with someone like Greg Gardner.
That's so pleasant. I like that. So yeah, looks like you have like a lot of legacy at this school, despite like you're only 7 years here.
Yeah, well, right. It feels like in some ways I've spent like absolutely forever here because I spent my high school years here and then I went to college and then I just immediately came back. So yes, like I've spent, this is my 8th year working here. This is my 12th year in the building. So it is a lot of time. But I'm a fan of Camden Catholic. I think we do a pretty good job. To put it mildly. So I'm happy to be part of this place, and legacy stuff is whatever. Like other people can think whatever they want of me, but I just try to bring the stuff that I'm interested in here in a way that's constructive for students, and that's basically what my philosophy is.
Well, that's amazing. Nonetheless, I'm thank you for joining me on this episode. It's an honor to have a member of the school community like you on my podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll throw it over to me with the outro. As always, if you found something in common with him or just want to say hi, Matthew Hoover is located in room 221 in Senior Hall. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Between Bells and that we might catch you next time. But for now, this has been your host, Trish Escarilia, and from wherever you're listening in, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. Bye!